The free $20,000 MLB 10 Runs for Free Cash contest is now live at SBRforum.com. What is the contest? It's simple. Each day in a designated SBR Forum post, you pick one team that you think will score 10 or more runs that day. You qualify to win $100 that day if you are correct. Each day the game continues, you pick another team. And every time your team scores 10 runs, you'll be adding onto your total score. The contest is split into 3 segments, and at the end of each segment, the top scorers split $2,500. And at the conclusion of the contest, there's even more cash up for grabs, in total over $20,000. And I know what you're thinking. You can just pick the Yankees every day and win. No, you can only pick the same team once per week. Check out the link in the description for more info and see you in the SBR Forum for the contest.
Folks, welcome into SportsBookReview.com. Yeah, it's Monday, and it's time to talk some Major League Baseball today. We are the SportsBookReview.com Major League Baseball team, both myself, Donnie Seymour, along with Jason Radowitz and Kyle Purviance. Hope your weekend was profitable. And usually, I'm out and about with the wife, little Bed Bath & Beyond, Home Depot. Don't really cap all that much, but wife and the kid were in Disney World this weekend. So, hey, you know what? Good people out there watching baseball on a Sunday. Let's go with that 4.5 there with the Brewers. Cashed in nicely. So my weekend was nice and sound. The fun starts up this week once again. Welcome back in, Jason. How was your weekend?
Yeah, so on Saturday, my weekend kind of sounds like your weekend. Of course, I will not be here tomorrow. Going to be closing on a house. So, yeah, I've been in Home Depot. I've been in Raymore and Flanagan. I've been in all those stores just as much. But then Sunday, went to the Mets game, tried to get that winning streak going for the Metsies, and we got the win. Then, Baez said some things to the media, and that just kind of ruined the entire vibe in New York. But outside that 2-game winning streak, don't have a game today for the Mets, but I do have a wager that I will be placing today, and we'll have some fun with that.
Yeah, I got some good bets today. We're going to have some fun on this show. And Kyle, yes, we talk about Jason closing on his house tomorrow. As you guys know, if that parlay goes down, he'll appear again on the show on a Tuesday, Kyle.
Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be right there back like, things just haven't worked out so well today. I got to tell you. Bed Bath & Beyond, that sounds like torture. My goodness.
It's not bad because there's a lot of stuff you don't need, but you actually might think about, this looks like a good idea, but it's only that good idea for like 5 minutes in the store. I don't mind it that much. I don't mind.
Bed Bath & Beyond and the TLC channel are the reason my moniker says DFS Bachelor at the bottom right there. My goodness. But I'm excited for today. It is a shorter card. We do have a weather situation. I see the Reds game popping up in the chat. But watch out for that game. That game's very unlikely to play tonight. But some good spots. Hope you all had a good weekend. My weekend was a little bit different than yours. You know, that bachelor life sometimes can get a little outraged. I think I'm going through a midlife crisis. Not 100% sure what's going on. But, no, it was a lot of fun. Good weekend. And looking forward to this week.
Yeah, we should have a good show here coming up. You saw Lee Martin do the video once again. Still, as we head into September, a lot of money up for grabs on the Major League Baseball contest that we have right here. $20,000 of Bitcoin up for grabs. And, of course, we always talk about the NFL and NCAA football. Look, if you spent your Saturday watching college football this past week, I mean, you're a better man than I am because that was just absolute nonsense. But this weekend, coming up week 1, also the following week, a full NFL slate. It's a great time to get into the Pick 6 contest right here on SportsBookReview.com. $50,000 up, $1,600 a week. Sounds like a game plan for me. But also, guys, thanks again for hitting that subscribe button here as we now have 87,800 subscribers on our YouTube network. Sensational stuff here for us. If you have any other details that you want to chime in on, look at that. SBRpicks.com/MLB. Make you a better baseball better. Let's get right into the card today. We do have some day baseball action today on a Monday, which is kind of nice. And if we tee it up just to try to look if you had any attitudes here, the Minnesota Twins and the Detroit Tigers are underway right now. Aubert, as Kyle would like to say, versus Mize. 9s across the board when they closed. 130 is a slight favorite to Minnesota. 0-0 here in the top of the 3rd inning. Any looks on this game, Jason, that you were looking at here?
Well, Mize hasn't been that great as of late. 5.31 xFIP, striking out 16.5% of batters, and also walking 10.1%. It's really been lefties that he struggled with. So guys like Kepler, Cave, I think, are in the lineup, and then most of the lineup is righties. I think Polanco would be a lefty as well in that lineup. So there's 4 lefties in the lineup. I think against Mize here so far. Obviously, haven't done any damage, but I thought the Twins would be able to get to Mize just a little bit with those lefties. And then you go to Aubert, as I like to call him, and he's been really good as of late. 3.89 xFIP, striking out 26.2% of the batters, walking just 3.9% of batters. And also, this Tigers offense really doesn't have much power against righties. They're not getting on base as much against righties. They're striking out a lot against righties, 26%, and walking just 6.3%. So this is a lineup of the Tigers that we kind of recognize from April. That's kind of lineup we're looking at right now from the Tigers. So, I still like the Twins in this matchup. Haven't watched the game, haven't even looked at it. I was at the gym, so I have no idea what's going on in the game, but I still like the Twins to win this game.
Yeah, some bad lineup there, per se. You know, the Detroit hitters matching up last 30 days versus right-handed pitching. So we'll see what comes out of this game. Any looks, Kyle, early on in this one here? And by the way, I always like to joke and kid. How about on a bad baseball team, the Minnesota Twins? Buxton's like, yeah, I'm coming back this year. I want to play baseball. Hello, Mike Trout. What do you think about this game, Kyle?
I had a slight lean to the Twins here. I didn't bet anything on it. I was sort of – these morning games I sometimes pass over as I'm busy unless there's something I really, really like. Sort of getting ready for the rest of the day's slate. But again, this is two teams we talk about all the time. I favor the Twins here. I do think the Twins should be able to score off of Mize. Bear hasn't been all that bad. They profile about the same versus the opposing lineup. Some of these team totals were a little bit low. I, too, had to race back from the gym as well. That's why I didn't get to as you can tell, my traps are also getting there. I'm having a hard time fitting them into my SBR shirt, so I might need a new one. But, slightly into the Twins here, but this is always a situation I talk about all the time, especially when the Tigers are playing in an early game. Maybe you can get that depressed team total, live team total late in the game. That Tigers bullpen is very, very bad. For that matter, the Twins bullpen isn't very good either. But I would say if you're looking to take a side late and a team that has some power to, one swing of the bat, get you a couple runs, you would favor the Twins here, a little bit more power in that lineup than the Tigers. So I'd keep an eye on the Twins late, get a depressed team total, and smash it live attacking that bullpen.
Yeah, we'll see what turns out in this baseball game. Let's get to some of the main card games tonight because the games that we're going to preview, playoffs abound all over the place. 965, 966, 710 tonight down at the Trop. That's Pivetta versus Patino. 8.5s have turned into 9s primarily across the board. And I absolutely agree with that. So when we take a look, and say, what's the line movement here on just the side itself? 125 for Tampa Bay up to 136 here in New Jersey. That's all sure. Here in New Jersey, 134 up to 142. So we do have some movement there. And I guess it's just de facto a really good baseball team with the Rays at home and in the Trop. They tend to do some damage here. But I'm looking for runs in this situation. Now, the key indicator in this one for me is you have two teams with two decent bullpens, right? The pitching matchups here for me, I think you can get after it over the first 5 innings on both sides. Because Nick Pivetta, if we take a look at the last 30 days for him, to lefties 344, weighted on base percentage, ISO power number 182, but also a 461 xFIP number. But take a look at Patino on the other side, Jason. 6.22 xFIP number. I think if we get runs, they're coming early, Jason, in this game.
Yeah, like you said, both teams can score early in this game against these starting pitchers. I like the over 4.5 in the first 5 innings at minus 115. Now, you did say that the over looks like it went from 8.5 to 9. So that number might have increased at 4.5 to maybe like 130 or something. I'm not entirely sure. But anywhere around that, around that price range is completely fine for both these offenses. You look at the Red Sox against righties, they've looked really good. 248 ISO, weighted OBA 374, striking out just 17% of the time and also walking 11% of the time. You got Kyle Schwarber at the top of the order. And, usually he's known as like a, power bat, and he is, but he's also the table setter. He has a weighted OBA of 559 against righties in the last 30 days, striking out just 10% of the time and walking 36.7% of the time. On top of that, hitting ground balls just 25% of the time and hitting line drive contact 43.8% of the time. So that is why he's at the top of the order, because he's been incredible against righties. And like Donnie pointed out, Patino, 6.22 xFIP, not very good at all. And really bad against lefties as well. 390 weighted OBA, ISO 333 in those same 30 days. So a guy like Schwarber, a guy like Devers, a guy like Verdugo, even Duran has a little bit of potential. And Ariuz is also potentially be in the game as well. I'm not sure how to say his last name, but I know he has a little bit of power and showed it off in their win the other day. So lots to like in the Red Sox lineup. And also you go to the Rays lineup against Pivetta, 4.61 xFIP. In his last 3 days, also high walks there as well. Guys like Brandon Lau, Franco, Cruz, Rosarena, Zunino, Kiermaier all have nice power against righties. Now, the one thing I will say, though, and I'm sure Kyle is going to point this out as well, both of these lineups have not performed well against these starters in the past. But again, like when you're looking at it right now, both of these lineups have crazy good power. They're getting on base. They're hitting line drives. They're not hitting ground balls. It still looks really good, and that's probably why the line was low to begin with. But the Sharps obviously going and putting their money on the over, that moved it up, and it makes a lot of sense. Both these pitchers have not been very good as of late, and these offenses have been.
Yeah, if we take a look at the pitchers there, and for just the second half of the season, at least with a minimum of 10 innings, there's 22 pitchers that qualify for that today. You know who's number 19th? Nick Pivetta. You know who's 22 out of 22? Luis Patino, Kyle. What are we looking at for this game today from your perspective?
Yeah, I agree. And just to touch on Jason's point, the two lineups are combined 6 of 52 off of these two pitchers. It's not the biggest sample size. I mean, it's not great, but it's also not like this massive sample size. We're talking about 9 hitters on each team, so we're talking an average of about 4.5 at bats per. So, usually it takes a little bit of time to have a big enough sample size to worry all that much. Both lineups profile beautifully. Every time I see the name Patino, I'm just looking for a guy who sleeps in a coffin, because that's how I think of Rick Pitino. It's like a 10,000-year-old vampire.
Hard in the dorms.
Yeah, he just sleeps in a coffin, wakes up, never sees the light of day. I kind of like Boston here. I like him in the first 5 innings. I agree with you guys. I think it should go over, but the concern is if these starters do get rocked a little early, it's 3-3 or some 3-2, and they pull the starters out, you get to these bullpens, runs might be a little bit more difficult to come by. But you can't get the Red Sox at plus money on the money line in the first 5 innings. Pivetta and Patino, they both stink, as you just eloquently touched on. They're 19th and 22nd on the card. I agree with that assessment. So it's just as likely for Boston to light up Patino as it is for the Rays to light up Pivetta. I agree with the sentiment. It's hard to fade the Rays. They are very, very good right now, and Pivetta isn't good. But both pitchers profile pretty equal. When I see that, 2 teams he can score, I do like those first 5 team totals that you talked about. I like both teams' team total, but for me, I'll take that plus money in the first 5 innings and just hope the Red Sox. I mean, those lefties, like the home run prop for Devers live, Schwarber live, Verdugo, even this kid Jarren Duran has been pretty solid lately for the Red Sox. So I like the lefties in the lineup here. I think the Red Sox have a really solid shot at plus money. It's one of the liver dogs in the card for me. Plus 115 on the money line, first 5 Red Sox.
All right, let's take a look at the next game up on the board. 9:57, 9:58. Again, a playoff atmosphere theme today. This one will get underway 9:45 Eastern Time, 6:45 out on the West Coast. That is Burns versus Cueto, Milwaukee versus the San Francisco Giants. 7.5 across the board, but we do have some line movement here. Not offshore. Offshore opened up at Pinnacle, minus 133. That's exactly what it is right now. But here in New Jersey, a 146 has turned into a minus 130 as a favorite for Milwaukee. It's just a style of pitchers. To me, a lot of the times you're going to take the better starter on the mound, which clearly is Burns. Over the second half of the Major League Baseball season, 7 starts, 45 1/3 innings. He's got a 2.93 xFIP, which is sensational. Then if we slide it down here to Johnny Cueto, he actually does have a nice ERA of 2.64, but he does have a slightly elevated xFIP number of 4.18. And if you look at the lineup that we're anticipating today, it's a pretty good one versus right-handed pitching. Wong, Adames, Yelich, Garcia, Narvaez, Urias, Tellez, and Kane. Those first 6 batters here all elevated both ISO power numbers and weighted on base percentages. If I'm going to get around a minus 130 price, I'm going to lean on Milwaukee, one of my favorite teams in baseball, Jason.
Yeah, I agree with the Brewers here. And Cueto, 5.91 xFIP in his last 30 days, striking out under 18% of batters, also walking nearly 12% of the batters. On top of that, getting ground balls just 27.7% of the time, giving up line drive contact 32% of the time, hard contact 48.9% of the time. You look at this top of the order, you got Wong, Adames, Yelich, Garcia, Narvaez. All these guys are hitting line drives really consistently against righties in the last 30 days. Also ISO 226, weighted OBA 353, and striking out as a group 16.6% of the time. And they just faced Cueto not too long ago, 8-8. Allowed 4 runs, 3 earned, but 1 home run, 1 walk, and just 3 strikeouts in 5.1 innings pitched. So I'm liking here the Brewers over 2 in the first 5 on the team total at minus 110. I like having that insurance, taking that 2. You go that 2.5, you can get plus money, but you guys know me, I like having insurance. And if it hits a 2, if they don't get 3, I get that push, and I'll be all right. I can live another day. But the Giants' offense obviously really good as well. Burns obviously been a great pitcher, but you're going up against a really good offense. So I do think the Giants can score some runs as well, and this could be a game where it might turn into a 4-4 game, extra innings or something.
61 degrees at first pitch out there on the West Coast, so a chilly night. Typically, as always, wind blowing out to dead center field as it does every single game. out there at Oracle Park. What are we looking at, Kyle, from your perspective today? Burns, to me, the better pitcher. Cueto, maybe if he does those little Jimmy Jacks in his, arm where it just stops for a second and throws you off. Outside of that, he's not a very good pitcher to me, and I think Milwaukee will be able to get to him. What do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree. Obviously, Burns is better than Cueto, and Milwaukee should be favored here. But I would like to point out, neither one of these pitchers has been very good against the other team. This is Corbin Burns' last 5 fantasy totals against the Giants. It's kind of shocking when you look at it. 6, 1, 0, -12, and then his last start was fairly solid out of 37. So the Giants have shown they're 10 for 39 lifetime. It is a low-weighted OPS because Burns always is going to profile well against any lineup that he faces because he has astronomical numbers when he's on. But it's sort of like the Rockies with Burns. There's a couple teams that sort of get to this guy, and they routinely do it. The Rockies is the other team in the NL West. It makes absolutely no sense, but he does. If you go to BetMGM, you're getting the Giants team total. You can buy that repressed number over 2.5. It's at -165. You can get the 3.5 near even money or plus money. Of course, if you cap them to get 3 runs, you do think they will get 4 runs. But you take a team like the Giants, as good as they are at home, I expect them to get 3 runs. So I like that repressed team total on the Giants. I think Burns is a little bit overvalued here. They have hit him well. This lineup has performed well against him in the past. So I just think it's a low number at home. And look, anytime I'm getting the Giants, even though I agree Burns is much better and Milwaukee is absolutely live on the road tonight, I think the Giants are live dogs. You're talking about one of the best teams in baseball at home, and you're getting plus money on them. For me, we sort of talked about that little EV stuff, and when you're getting teams like this at plus money for the game, it's hard for me to stay away from the Giants, so I think they're live dogs tonight, and I like that team total over at BetMGM over 2.5.
Yeah, but the real Beck boy said, you guys ever bet unders on team totals? No. And the simple fact is not because it's more fun to cheer. The game is built for overs. Every single play is built for overs. How about if you have, we use 2 synopsises here. You nail a game. Oh, well, it goes 2-2 in extra innings. You lost. Now, if you could bet, if they gave you an option on sportsbooks, I don't know why they do this. You go and play blackjack. You have a chance to take insurance in case you're going to get which theory, you're not supposed to do it, but if you play
never buy it.
Sometimes
Never buy that.
Exactly.
Let me just
you
get
can get your money back at that point, right? Well, they don't
once.
have this at sportsbooks here. They don't have that. If they told you you can spend an extra 5 cents of juice if you take an under and it ends after 9 innings, no matter what happens, we will be much more open to betting unders. But the fact that you have extra time where you can get unlimited runs with no time frame, it doesn't make any sense. And also, how many times have we had this? We talked about having a running mate in Major League Baseball. There's a game 11-0 by the 5th inning. Your team hasn't even scored yet. Nobody cares the rest of the way. How many times you see that game end up 12-7 because the other team doesn't use their bullpen here? Unders make 0 sense betting in Major League Baseball because everything is skewed to over backers where you get the benefit of the doubt every single time. Unless you can pay for that quote-unquote insurance to end after 9 innings, it's ludicrous to bet unders in Major League Baseball. Let's keep moving forward here as we go. Atlanta and L.A. Hey, there's that theme again coming up here. 3 straight games, 3 straight playoff atmospheres. Smiley, the lefty, versus Urias, the lefty, for the Los Angeles Dodgers. How about this? Offshore, 181 favorite to the Dodgers. Now, up to 204 here in New Jersey at 196, up to 220. I got to say, that is a heavy price to pay. But unless you're just saying Atlanta's a good baseball team, I'll take that price, that's fine. But when you look at the lineup here now, Urias should be able to dominate that Braves lineup. That's worth it, 2-1. I'd take the Dodgers, that heavy price tonight. What are you looking at, Jason?
Yeah, obviously Donnie and I are going to be rooting for the Dodgers here against the Braves. We're not out of the playoffs yet. You and I both not out of the playoffs just yet. So we're still rooting for it. But no, we are not out of it just yet. But Urias, 4.75 xFIP in his last 30 days, does have high strikeouts and the walks at 8.8%. But really, there's not much power you can get off of Urias. And the thing that he does poorly against righties is he gets walks, and then the ground balls are really low against lefties as a left-handed pitcher. The Braves, they're going to have a lot of right-handed bats in the lineup against lefties, against the lefty and Urias. I mean, that's going to help against Urias. Again, Atlanta going to be on the road, and they'll be pitching Smiley, who's looked a lot better as of late. 3.35 xFIP, strikeouts are just as high as Urias. Another left-handed pitcher also walking just 5.1% of the batters. And the one thing the Dodgers don't do well against lefties, they don't really walk too often. They do have some power from guys like Trey Turner and Will Smith, a little bit from Pollock, and also Justin Turner. So they do have some power that can get the ball out of the yard. But it's going to be tough. This is a tough game, and like Donnie talked about, it's going to be another playoff atmosphere saw two great lefties going on the mound. Smiley's looked a lot better than he looked earlier in the season. So with that, this is a tough one, a game I'm going to be staying away from. I can't really choose a side. I will say I think Smiley's the better pitcher within the last 30 days, and I think also the Braves having a lot of righties in the lineup should help their cause as well. But I'm not going to be rooting for it.
Yeah, it should be. It's hard. It's hard to beat the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers to me, if you just had a 7-game series right now, if the Dodgers played anybody in Major League Baseball, they'd probably be favored every single game. That shows the talent level in that team. Now, certainly, it doesn't correlate every single time in Major League Baseball because you have 162 games. These are two good baseball teams getting at. Would I be surprised if the Dodgers lost tonight? Mildly surprised. But then again, those numbers are there for a reason at that -2-1 price. So take a look at the lineup. I agree. 3.35 xFIP over the last 30 days for Smiley is very good. But the numbers that I look at in this game with Urias over the last 30 days, a weighted on base average of lefties of 185 with an ISO power number of .063 to righties 229 with an ISO power number of .035. Nobody's doing much off him tonight. Be a fun one to watch here if you're up late, which again, I will not be, Kyle.
I might actually be up late for the. Well, it's not late really. It's the West Coast, but for me, I'm getting old, so it's late. But look, I just think that price is too high on a good Braves lineup versus left-handed pitching. I know Urias has been good, but when I think of Julio Urias, I think above average left-handed pitcher. This isn't an elite left-handed pitcher, and this Braves lineup is built to smash left-handed pitching. They're going to stack righties. I love the Braves team total. Am I going to bet against the Dodgers to lose? No, I'm not doing that. I don't give a shit about the sides in this game. Do I think the Braves are live dogs? Absolutely. It's the best number in terms of a bad team being an underdog on the card today by far. It's not close. The Braves are great against lefties. But that team total over 3.5, you're getting plus money here. I know it's -115 offshore, plus 105 at BetMGM. It's over 3.5. The Braves can score 4 runs off any left-handed pitcher in baseball. I actually think that they profile okay. I know they're only 5 of 32 lifetime. It's a 633 weighted OPS, but we're talking about all that power from the right-handed side. They're lefties. Freddie Freeman can hit anybody. He can hit a double-handed. He could hit 2 balls at once. The guy is just ripping the cover off the ball. I like the Braves team total over 3.5. It's plus money. Possibly going to talk about this in a later segment in the show, but the Braves against the lefty over 3.5 runs, the number's too small for me, and there's no way I'm laying $2 against the Braves with a left-handed pitcher. I just don't see the value in that there. Do I expect the Dodgers to win? Sure. But am I rooting for a side? No. I will take the Braves team total over 3.5.
Now, see, Kyle should get very upset. David had out this. Dodgers have not scored more than 2 runs in 10 days. As I looked just a day ago, 5-2 win. So I don't know where that one's coming from in that one. So misinformation in the chat box out here. Yeah. Certainly something that Kyle disapproves of, right?
Oh, I hate that. You know that. And I mean, you just can't do it. What the hell are you doing? Because a lot of people in the chat, they become friends and they like believe other people. The Dodgers have definitely scored more than 2 runs in the last 10 days. Please look at yesterday's fucking scorecard. I mean, what the hell is going on in here? God,
that's pretty good. Yeah, it is. Hey, look, we're here to teach and we're here to correct and make sure that the information flows at a pretty good level here. But let's get into some value menu wagers on the card tonight. This almost goes in line for me tonight, and it's going to be with the Boston Red Sox tonight going up against Tampa Bay. And I preface this by saying, I don't give a damn if they win the game. Matter of fact, I don't think they're going to win this game, and that doesn't matter at all when you're betting team totals. The 3 wagers I actually like the best in this game, all from a Boston perspective, with the first 2 to me making a little bit more sense. So this is almost like a half unit, all the way split up on these value plays. Team total at DraftKings today, 1.5 at -140 over the first 5 innings for the Boston Red Sox. I just told you, Patino, to me, is the worst pitcher on the card today. If he stays in 3 innings and gets pulled after 3, as Kyle would like to say, that probably means they scored 2 runs off the guy or more already at that point. So I do like that as a value menu wager. And then we turn it over to the full game, 3.5 -135. If I think they're going to get that team total, they'll probably have, once again, at least 2 after 5 innings, and maybe they can scratch something out against that pretty good bullpen from Tampa Bay. But the other one I like as well in this game, the the total for both sides, the first 5 innings at 4.5. If I'm looking at 2 bad pitchers and 2 good bullpens, why would I even mess with a full game total itself? Just take it. If they don't have 5 total runs scored in this game through 5, they're probably not going to get there for the full game total as well. So I like the 1.5 team total, first 5 innings at DraftKings for Boston. Full game, 3.5 -135. That's at BetMGM. And then coming back on the 4.5 as the total for the game on BetMGM for the first 5 innings of that game. I like them all. I'm going to throw a half unit down on each, see if I go at least 2-1. But technically, it's a correlated parlay per se. So if you get the 2 runs early, you should be going 3-0 tonight on those wagers, Jason. What you got tonight?
Yeah, I love where you went with this one. I agree. I'm taking the over 4.5 in the first 5 at minus 115 in that same game. I guess I don't even need to talk about it. Donnie just talked about it and said it beautifully. So we'll just move on and keep this show a little bit shorter.
Look at that, simpatico. Exactly. Boom, on the same page. Now, Kyle, it's just your job to say, you know what, I'm skipping this because our value is all over the place on Boston tonight.
Yeah, value menu. What the hell is that? I didn't know I was supposed to pick one. No, I actually agree with both those. As you heard, I like both of those. I'm going to go to that Giants game. I just think the Giants at home over 2.5 runs. I expect the Giants to get 3 runs every game at home, and I think they're live dogs. They do have a chance to win. But again, I'm not betting that because the Brewers are good enough to certainly win that game. But if the Brewers come out and beat them 11-4 and smash Cueto, I don't give a damn because they got the 3 runs, and that's all I care about. It's on the value menu because, of course, that total is juiced up to minus 165 because it's at 2.5. I don't necessarily hate the 3.5, but I'm a coward at heart, so I'm just going to take 1 run less. And if they lose 6-3, there we go. We hit it minus 165 at BetMGM. Giants team total over 2.5.
Aha, there we go. All right, let's get after it here as we flip it down. Kyle's favorite section here, odds boosted, which was sensational once again on Friday. I actually lost an odds boost yesterday because Joey Votto, A, couldn't get a hit, and B, the Reds were absolutely atrocious against the Miami Marlins. But today we flip it over, BetMGM, and it seems like I'm loading up on just one of these baseball games. And quite frankly, sometimes I come in here and tell you, hey, man, that Garrett Cole, certain amount of strikeouts and the Yankees to win. I love this play. To be honest with you, I take an odds boost every day just because I take an odds boost every day. This one, not overly excited
it's to
about.
torture me. He just wants to mess with me. That's it.
Not overly excited for me, but I have 6 runs to score over the first 5 innings at plus 160 as a boost on BetMGM, and that is for the Boston Red Sox and the Tampa Bay Rays game. I'm all loading up on this first 5, so don't give me the 1-0 score at the end of 5 innings. So I'm going to have to, it'll be Kyle alone on the show tomorrow. But don't love this boost, but I have to say, I put the $50 down on it, so I'm riding. And if you guys want to ride with me, let's get some runs here. Jason, what are you looking at for your odds boost today?
Yeah, let's just stay in that same game. Allow
it's only game on.
Yeah, on DraftKings they have Brandon Lau to hit a home run, boosted from 300 to plus 370. You look at his numbers in the last 30 days, 77 plate appearances. He has an ISO of 373 against righties, also weighted OBA of 399. Hitting line drives 26% of the time, ground ball rate just 30% of the time. So I like Lau to hit a home run in this game, and obviously that will contribute to our over value bets as well. So Lau to hit a home run, boosted from plus 300 to plus 370 on DraftKings. That'll be the boost for today.
There you go. So we need runs all over the place this game, Kyle. Where are we going with your odds boost today? What do you have cooking?
I'm going to this Phillies game here with Zach Wheeler against Washington, a lineup with basically one legitimate power hitter in Juan Soto, right? I'm getting Zach Wheeler over at Fox Bet, which luckily you guys told me about because at least I can finally find a reasonable odds boost over at Fox Bet. Zach Wheeler to not allow a home run is boosted from minus 125 to plus 100. And we talk about Juan Soto, and he has had 34 plate appearances against Zach Wheeler. 2 of those turned into home runs. So the number's small enough for me where, is it risky? Yes, but Wheeler should come out and deal. This is a bad, just despicable Washington Nationals lineup. And that's what they get for giving away Turner and Scherzer for a Diet Coke and a double-double at the trade deadline. So I'm going to go Zach Wheeler not to allow a home run tonight, boosted to plus 100 over at Fox Bet.
All right, there you go. Best bets on the Major League Baseball board. I do not have one today. I'm actually on a couple-game losing streak here, and typically I've run services over the past decade, which I don't have this year, usually shut down by September 1st, not because football season starts, but because it gets a little bit ticky-tack is the way to go here. Have a great season. It's still 35-17 overall. I'll take that every single year, but I would like to tack on here, but maybe adjusting those units back once September starts, where I'm still going to have a best bet and banker. I'll give those out as my favorite play of the day, but also a little bit more on the value menu side where you're not putting as many down, maybe playing a couple more baseball games with the design of going 2-1 on a day, 1-0 on a day, something like that. So we'll still be giving out some pretty kick-ass plays, but it does get a little bit dicier once September starts. You have the September call-ups. You don't know who's what, which theoretically should help. But also keep in mind, we always talk about many times on the show, hitting weather, man. When it's 90 degrees, that ball flies. You're going to get into September, and you're going to start seeing some of that cooler weather come in where some teams just don't care. Lineups just looking to see what some of the younger kids can do as opposed to, because, look, we fire away a lot of times on the show on a Best Bet and Banker at maybe noon or 1 o'clock our time without seeing any lineups. You don't want to get caught with your pants down at the end of the day saying, hey, I took the Twins and they're benching everybody because 4 new guys are in the lineup tonight. So just be a little bit wary once September does kick in here for me. Jason, what do you got tonight? Any best bets and bankers on your card today?
So we talked about this game already, the Brewers and the Giants. I like the Brewers over 2 in the first 5 at -110 via PointsBet and WinBet. Again, I like taking those even numbers knowing I have insurance. So if they only get 2 instead of 3, then we live on for the next day. We don't lose any money. So, if you can't get it, the 2.5 at plus money isn't, totally bad. And obviously, I think we'll get 3, potentially 4, 5 runs against Cueto in this game by the Brewers. Now, Cueto, he's allowed, I think, 11 games where he's allowed 3 or more runs. If you go 2 or more runs, it's a lot more when it comes to how many runs he's allowed. But this lineup, again, for the Brewers, a lot of power, 226 ISO, the weighted OBA 353, striking out just 16.6% of the time. They're also the top of the lineup, hitting a ton of line drives. The ground ball rate low at 42.1%. So it all kind of just connects with Cueto and his weaknesses when it comes to the Brewers and their strengths. Cueto, 5.91 xFIP in his last 30 days. Just faced the Brewers not too long ago, about 3 weeks ago. Allowed 4 runs and 5.1 innings pitched. Just had 3 strikeouts, gave up 12 fly balls, just 6 ground balls, and 1 walk in that game. So the Brewers have seen him before. They've had success against him before. And Cueto, he's been really bad for most of the season. A little inconsistent. 3.73 ERA doesn't really show what Cueto has been this season. But, yeah, I think the Brewers got to him today.
All right, Kyle, what you got? Best bet and bankers on your card. Where is it?
I'm going to go with my trusted Atlanta Braves to get 4 runs today. Basically, for me, unless it's against a guy like a Scherzer, and that's basically it, or a DeGrom, and I'm getting the Braves team total at 3.5. I'm taking it. Today, you're getting it at plus money here in the States, -115 offshore. Got advantages here, 19, 38, 16, 17, 2, 19, and 54%. Even the lefty Freeman in 7 appearances off Urias has a home run as well. I think the Braves get to 4 runs tonight. I don't care if they win or lose, and I'll take that at plus 105 over at BetMGM. In that same vein, our strikeout under props, which everyone loves. I am taking Julio Urias under 5.5 strikeouts. That's at -135 at BetMGM. In his last 9 starts since June 26th, he's only hit more than 5 strikeouts twice. The Dodgers aren't the Braves aren't a super low strikeout team, but with all those righties tonight, I expect solid contact. I expect them to at least get a ground ball. Urias struggling to get to that 6 strikeout number. I like the under 5.5 at -135 as well.
And there you go. On to the odds lightning round. We're going to rip it around Major League Baseball. And the first game I'm going to start with is a shame because it's probably not even going to get played. And anytime you see John Lester on the mound stacking up righties, everybody's interest peaks up. Cincinnati favored at -180 and has an opening line at Pinnacle. That now sits 205 here in New Jersey. At -196 turns into -215. 9's up to 9.5 across the board. We'll cap it because it's technically still on the board, but rain is expected in the forecast. And also keep in mind here as we go through, there is a lot of rain in the forecast coming here, specifically in the Northeast over the next 2 to 4 days with the remnants of the hurricane that just blew through New Orleans. So something to keep an eye on here. Cooler conditions coming up as well. But your thoughts, Jason, if this game does get played?
Well, you guys remember last week I took the Cardinals over. I went against Leicester and only got 1 run, and I think it was the Tigers, and they couldn't get the job done with they stacked the entire lineup was righties, and they struggled yesterday. We watched the Reds; they struggled against Luzardo, another left-handed pitcher that we've been talking about, saying he hasn't been good. Leicester obviously doesn't have as good of a stuff as Luzardo does at this point in his career, but another left-hander going up against the Reds. Another left-hander going up against the Reds, and the Reds, their offense really hasn't been that great against lefties in the last 30 days. You have India, who's done really well. Votto didn't come through for Donnie the other day, but he's also been, all right, but strikeout rate a little bit higher. Look, just really the entire lineup doesn't have that, much potential against lefties as much as you probably would think in the last 30 days. So, Like we said, this game probably won't even play, but Lester sometimes he just finds a way to put a lot of guys on base and then just kind of gets out of jams and figures it out. So you be careful, but again, this game probably doesn't play. I wouldn't even bet it because of the rain in the first place, because if the game starts to play, then goes into delay, comes back, and Lester doesn't come back out, now you're looking pretty stupid with that wager. So this is the game I would stay away from.
Interesting stuff here. And by the way, a couple things popping up in the chat box. Robert Figueroa, what are the best offshore sites that I can play from NYC? That's what we are at sportsbookreview.com. Hit the link below, sbrpicks.com/MLB, or even below, get to the forum there, rating every single book out there. Good bonuses, who's on the up and up, whose website moves fast enough. That's what we do here. That's why it's called sportsbookreview.com. So you have come to the right place. And by the way, if anybody sees, hey, Kyle, what are you drinking today? Look, Kyle doesn't drink because he likes the taste of alcohol. Kyle drinks because he has to come on and talk baseball with me and Jason. That's the only way he can make it through the actual show. But we're going to keep moving on here, even though he
wants
to
see me shaking. No one wants to see me shake uncontrollably, right? I got to have a drink in the morning.
Exactly. I mean, next, if he doesn't drink, we'll hear stories about his ex-wife and all this. I mean, come on. This keeps him down that center path right now. 953, 954. Zach Wheeler, as we know, Kyle's on an odds boost here with him versus Gray. The Philadelphia Phillies, look at this. This is why the Phillies stink at the plate. They're minus 182, and that's what you should be with Zach Wheeler on the mound. But the betting public sees that and is like, I ain't laying that much with the Phillies. It now sits at 146 offshore. 196 turns into 158 at FanDuel. So maybe you are, I guess, getting a bargain, but I don't know. The Phillies are on a win streak of 3 games, which is amazing to me. But then again, it was against Arizona. But this is the same type of team, quote unquote, Arizona and Washington, that the NL East feast on and then gets their head bashed in against when anybody is competent. What are we looking at in this game between Wheeler and Gray, Kyle?
Look, I wanted so bad to make Donnie happy today and say my play of the day is the Phillies minus 0.5 in the first 5. It's when you have Wheeler on the mound and you're getting the Phillies minus 0.5 in the first 5 at minus 105, you feel like you're getting a really, really nice break. Josiah Gray's okay. I mean, he's not terrible. Still a young guy, still working out. Only 18 in his last time out against the Phillies. They profile pretty nice, a 779 weighted 3-year OPS. Of course, with Wheeler, it's much, much lower, a 616. Only 1 game in his last 5 starts under 37 fantasy points. He was lit up a little bit. That was 12. But remember, that was when Washington had an actual legitimate big league lineup, that lineup that he's going to be facing today. A little bit more pathetic. I'd say it's a little more amateur that we're going to see today. So I would lean the Phillies. I would lean them in the first 5 innings. Of course, you're right. It is tough to trust them right now. But 3 straight wins. It's pretty much a fade for Washington for me nearly every single game. They just have nothing going on outside of Juan Soto and maybe Josh Bell. So for me, you're getting a short price, minus 105 in the first 5 innings in a Wheeler start versus Josiah Gray kind of feels like a free square. But again, you got to bet at your own risk because you got to trust that Phillies lineup.
Yeah, betting at your own risk in the next game. Why? Because you're going to pay as high as minus 350 at some outlets for Robbie Ray, the lefty on the mound, versus Ellis, the right-hander on the mound for the Baltimore Orioles. 75 degrees. The roof should be open up in Toronto. A 9.5 across the board, but a heavy favorite for Toronto, and rightfully so, Jason.
Yeah, it looks like Ellis, I guess maybe was a little bit unlucky in his last start. Does have a 2.90 xFIP in the last 30 days. Striking out 34.5% of batters, also walking 3.4%. But then you look at his batting average of balls in play, that's at 438. So 44% of the time a ball hit in play has become a hit against Ellis in the last 30 days. So that probably goes down. If he keeps the strikeouts high, keeps the walks low, results should start to come for Ellis. But then, of course, you get the bullpen later in the game. So I guess maybe under in the first 5 innings. I don't know if I really trust Ellis. He could get hit hard again against this Blue Jays lineup, because at the end of the day, the Blue Jays, all their batters, all 9 batters that'll be in the lineup, they're all hitting consistent hard contact against righties in the last 30 days as well. So that can continue to be a little bit unlucky for Ellis in this spot. So yeah, be careful. I wouldn't pay the 350. I like the under in the first 5. If I guess the stats don't really lie. So yeah, be careful. But Ellis could have a good game. Just I warned you. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, he's warning us people out here. So, hey, it is what it is.
And if he gets rocked, I won't be here tomorrow to hear it.
Exactly.
So,
no,
perfect.
He's in the best position. Jason has the best. There's two things that's going to happen today. Jason wins all his bets. He won't be here. Jason loses his bets. He'll be right back trying to, fire away to see if he can scrape up some money to close on that brand spanking new house. Exactly. Homeless. Rings are getting sold. I mean, it could be ugly.
Shit.
971, 972, Colorado and Texas. And it's because it's there, Kyle. It's because it's there. Marquez versus Alexi. Alexi, call me up. Who's going to win this game? We don't know. 8.5 across the board. 150, 145s. It's yours, Kyle. It's yours.
I mean, look. So the Rockies, again, it's tough to trust the Rockies on the road, right? And Marquez is exponentially better than this Alexi, whatever the hell this guy is. I'll certainly take Marquez. It's a weighted 654 OPS. He actually profiles pretty nicely against Texas. You are getting the Rockies minus 0.5 in the first 5 at minus 110. They do have the pitching advantage. The reason for me I would stay away is, again, it's the Rockies on the road. Now, sort of subscribed to this last week, and they started slow. We went against the Rockies in the first 5. They were able to win the first 5, and then that bullpen comes into the game and blows it, and the Cubs actually beat them. So that's the concern, taking them here the full game. You just cannot trust that bullpen. So if you're going to bet this game, I'll take the pitching advantage for the Rockies with Marquez. But again, first 5 only. You cannot trust that bullpen. And remember, there's a lot of risk here. The Rockies are one of the worst road, if not the worst road first 5 team in all of baseball.
We're going to skip the next game here, the Yankees and the Angels. Why? Because Kluber, I mean, he's had some bad starts down in Double-A coming back. We don't know. He's on a pitch count today, 65 to 70 pitches. We don't know who's going to start for the Angels at this point, at least have a confirmed starter. So we'll flip it over here to the next game. Paddock, another one of those guys, not a lot of activity over the past month or so being out on the IL versus Gilbert, the lefty. But you do have a high price here, and it looks like the bettors are saying San Diego is the side tonight. Why? Minus 166 opens up Offshore Pinnacle. That's now 184. Taking a look here in New Jersey, 174 turns into 196 and 9.5 across the board. Is this one of those things where we just say, hey, San Diego's going to get hot and we just fade Gilbert? He had that nice start as a no-hitter, which is amazing as your first career start, but he's not really that type of pedigree pitcher. And Paddock, who we had so many high hopes for, hasn't lived up to it this year. So taking a look at that high number, is there any value in this one for you, Jason, or what's your angle on this game?
So on the season, Paddock, against righties, he's had 187 plate appearances, a 374 weighted OBA to righties, 223 ISO to righties. Then you go to lefties, it's a 278 weighted OBA and ISO of 153. Now you look at this lineup for the Diamondbacks, you're probably going to get maybe 6 lefties in the lineup, maybe 5 lefties in the lineup. And that's where Paddock has actually performed better in comparison to righties. So I do think Paddock has a solid game tonight against the Diamondbacks. Obviously, the Diamondbacks are nothing special when it comes to their offense. And then Gilbert, despite having a no-hitter, still does have a 5.42 xFIP, strikes out 18.2% of batters, walks 10.2% of the batters, doesn't get many ground balls. Line drive contact also high, hard contact also high. So it shows you what baseball is all about. You could have a bad game and pitch well, and you could pitch well, and you could do vice versa. So I think the Padres get the job done here. They do have Cronenworth. They do have Myers. Two of those guys can do solid against the lefty. I would take the Padres. I think Paddock has a good game today.
Last game we'll talk about tonight, Houston and Seattle, Garcia versus Flex. And if we take a look at the numbers here, 152 opened up Offshore Pinnacle, turned into a 160. FanDuel 162 to 166. So not a lot of movement in this game. There are some 8s and 8.5s out there, depending on where you're shopping at. But it's simple to me. I like the look, finally, once again, of this Astros lineup. And if you take a look at Flexen in the second half of the Major League Baseball season, 47 2/3 innings that he's pitched, a 4.70 xFIP number. So he can be had, even though his ERA in the second half isn't technically bad at 3.59. But I just look at that lineup. They should have 9 at-bats. I think they're going to win this baseball game. Do I want to lay the 160 with Garcia on the mound? Probably not. Seattle,
Right.
It's a little bit sneaky. It's one of those that's tough to do. I had it originally. I had the red circled, the Boston team total circled, and Houston's team total circled. That's the only way I'd look in this game. What are you looking at, Kyle, between the Houston Astros and the Seattle Mariners here?
Yeah, I do think the Mariners are live dogs here. It's strictly because of the Garcia factor. He can implode at any time. Now, he's been fairly solid his last 2 starts against Seattle, a 26 and a 30. Flexen not all that bad either, a 28. And his last start does have a 0 there. So he has been kind of like pumped out of the game pretty early, but he's been pretty good. I think the under 4.5 in the first 5 is sort of live here. I could see this sort of being a slow start to the game. The Mariners don't necessarily jump out and just score runs early in games. They only do that the day after they burn Donnie on a team total bet. That's the only time they score early. That's the only time they score early, and we're always live for that when it happens. Anyways, a little bit tough. I will say the Mariners are live dogs, and I don't mind that under 4.5. I could easily see a 2-1, 1-1 game after 5 innings in this game, so maybe that under 4.5 in the first 5 innings.
Look at that, how quick a Monday show goes. As I said before, you guys know it's going to be Friday and off and running once again. I know there's a lot of stuff going on this week. Week 1 college football. Next week, we're going to have NFL action. So everything is going down right here at sportsbookreview.com. So make sure you stay tuned. If you have any questions, any information that you need to get to, there are those links all over the screen here that you see at YouTube. Top of the chat box there, SBR Picks in yellow. Click on that. If you want to go to sbrpicks.com/MLB, get on that. sportsbookreview.com/forum. Everything is here for you guys to be a better baseball better, football better, UFC better, soccer better. Whatever we have, you can certainly improve your craft. But we'll get out of here. But before we do that, as always, we like to clear the bases and let you guys know what we're digging on. I got 3 separate plays tonight here that I'm going with, which has a lot to do with the Boston Red Sox. 1.5 -140 in the first 5 innings is a team total for the Red Sox. Also, 3.5 full game -135 as a team total for the Red Sox. And the first 5 innings combined total over 4.5. And then my odds boost is even this game as well. 6 or more runs to be scored in the first 5 innings. That's boosted to +160. I'm invested in Boston tonight, Jason. What do you got?
Yeah, and I'm with you here. Over 4.5 in the first 5. -115 in that same Red Sox and Rays game as the value play. I'm going to take Lau to hit a home run, boosted on DraftKings from +300 to +370 in that same game. And then also the big play for me will be the Brewers over 2 in the first 5 on the team total at -110. Now, again, I'm getting that insurance with that 2. If you want to go with that 2.5 and risk a little bit there with plus money, that's completely fine. That's up to you. Just take the analysis and do whatever you want with it.
There you go. Take the analysis, whatever you want to do with it, Kyle. Do you remember your wagers on a Monday?
I'm trying. I'm just frantically going through this in my brain. So let's start with the value menu. Giants team total over 2.5 at -165. That's at BetMGM. Odds boost, Zach Wheeler to not allow a home run to the Washington Nationals, boosted up to +100. That's over at Fox Bet. Our play of the day, the Braves team total over 3.5 at +105. That's over at BetMGM as well. In that same vein, Julio Urias under 5.5 strikeouts. That's at -135. Again, a number he's only hit twice since June 26th. And my home run props for the day, for those of you, I have a list of 5. We have Kyle Seager, Rafael Devers, Bryce Harper, Vladimir Guerrero, and of course, the GOAT, Shohei Ohtani.
All right, we are out of here on a Monday. We'll be back once again on Tuesday, breaking it all down. Same channel, same time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Thanks you once again for joining us here on the show for a Monday. I'm Donnie RightSide along with Jason Radowitz and Kyle Purviance. We're the sportsbookreview.com Major League Baseball team. This was your show for Monday, and as always, good luck with those wagers.